Hey there, emerging expat. You're tuned in to Let's Move to Portugal. I'm Victoria from Expats Everywhere's podcast, and I have the distinct honor of bringing you, YouTube travelers, and our resident of Portugal experts, Expats Everywhere's Josh and Kalie. Each week they'll inspire, they'll educate, and they'll accompany you on your journey to Portuguese residency. This week on Let's Move to Portugal, Josh and Kalie compare Austria to Portugal after their recent visit. Stay tuned to see if Austria is a good Portugal alternative. To keep this podcast going strong, we've included a few brief ads. Thanks for supporting us by listening.
We're very happy that Savvy Cat Realty wanted to support us and sponsor the podcast, as we're actually clients of theirs.
When we started our journey to purchase our property in Portugal back in 2022, they came right alongside us in the process.
Savvy Cat Realty provides a highly tailored service to supporting those relocating to Portugal. Their mission is to find you the best match in continental Portugal. Their local experts will guide you through the whole process, keeping sustainability for both sides.
They have a full local team, including agents, lawyers, and engineers, making sure you are safe. And as locals, they believe fair prices are good for both sides.
And Savvy Cat Realty works with both rentals and purchases with budgets from $50K to millions, always making sure it's worth the cost.
Book a free call at savvycatrealty.com and have them on your side planning your move to Portugal.
Hey, expats and travelers alike, welcome back to Expats Everywhere Presents Let's Move to Portugal podcast. Kalie, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing really well.
Ooh, really well.
I'm doing really well.
Okay.
We had a very nice weekend. I've gotten proper sleep. I do have a red eye.
Yeah. Not sure why, but.
Not sure why it came on, I think on Friday.
Because of lack of sleep and it just hasn't gone away.
I don't know.
Josh's eyes get red when he's sleepy.
They do.
But you're not sleepy and the red eye has continued.
Yeah. Okay. So we are pretty pumped about this series that we're starting. And it's a series that we're going to kind of like weave in with our regular episodes. But we just took an awesome trip. We took an awesome trip over the summer and we visited some countries that people are now starting to compare to Portugal in terms of being an expat destination.
Right.
So we visited Austria, Slovenia, I'm trying to go in order, Croatia and Slovakia.
That's correct.
And
you got it.
Yeah, thank you. and we're breaking each place down, comparing it back to Portugal. What are similarities? What are differences? What are pros? What are cons? To kind of maybe give you another country that you should consider on your list.
And it could also be for tourism too. So like while we do talk about comparing, like the country to Portugal for living in, because maybe one day you want to live there, whether you're already in Portugal and then you move, or you're still considering different places in Europe. Yeah. But then if it's not on your radar to move, you can still listen obviously and get an idea of what these places are like and if you would want to visit.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the amazing things about living in Europe and especially Portugal is you have these other countries as options to places to visit, right? And they're really accessible. Generally, it's low cost flights, depending on where I guess you're flying out of. But if you're flying out of Porto, Lisbon, or Faro, you're doing well.
Yeah,
you've got some cheap flight options, or you can take the really expensive options. You do you.
Yeah. Whatever you want to do, you have options is the thing.
Yes.
And I think the best thing though, is you're obviously closer. So you can just pop over to Austria, for example, and it's just a couple hours on the plane, as opposed to if you're in the US and you're not really popping over to Austria, you're coming on a big trip to Europe, right? So that is such a great perk of living in Portugal is it's very easy to access Europe. It's not very far. So you can even do like a weekend trip someplace if you want, but obviously longer as well, which is what we did. We were longer. We were 2 weeks away.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So this actual road trip that we made, and if you're a longtime follower of the podcast, you know that during the summer and winter breaks, we try to take trips, especially with our daughter when she's out of school, so that we can check out some other places around Europe. So in this case, we were able to go to 4 different countries in 2 weeks, more or less.
I think maybe a little over 15 days or something like that.
And it felt very manageable. I mean, although we weren't in Slovakia very long, we were in Austria quite a bit. I think in total, maybe it was a week in Austria in 2 different regions, 3 different cities. So that was great. Actually, technically, it might have been 3 different regions, 3 different cities.
Yeah, I think so, actually. considering where we were. But we rented a car, and so it's quite easy in those areas to cross borders and everything. We talk a little bit about that today, but then also along the way when we do the other episodes too, we'll talk a little bit about it, how we traveled and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So to get you caught up on the world of expats everywhere and what is going on in Portuguese or Portugal immigration, no news is good news.
Yeah.
Would you say?
I get it. I think every week you're like, immigration, we have to talk about that. And it's like, well, not yet. So I've recently just written our lawyer. I haven't heard back from him to see if they've even scheduled this parliament meeting that, the recess is technically over, but that doesn't mean that they've scheduled the meeting. So I don't even know. I've not heard anything. And I did a little research trying to find if something was posted about it. I don't know if they've even scheduled that meeting just yet. It should be coming, but they don't seem to be in any rush because they didn't bother scheduling it like while on recess. Maybe they can't though. Maybe now this week they have to come back and then figure it out. So it should be soon. But I mean, I guess in that same vein as well, like a video that's coming out is we're going to put like, since we started our citizenship application process, where you going?
Yeah, you're stealing my thunder here.
I had a feeling it kind of goes together though. We're talking about like, obviously like potentially moving to a place like Austria, right? That's what the episode's about for you listeners to see if you would want to move there. Well, if you have citizenship in Portugal, then that is so much easier. And so we are in that process now as we've made it 5 years. So we are applying for citizenship and we started the first part of it. And of course, we're going to document it and have that series on the main channel.
Yes.
But it's going to be a long series because it takes about 2 years to get.
Well, okay. So I wasn't going to say that, but what I was going to say is that we have spent, the past couple of days, like hustling, trying to prepare the video for the immigration video that Kalie's referring to. I guess I should say the citizenship by naturalization video, where we basically vlogged the process from when we decided like when we wanted to apply to gathering all the documents and what that was like and what the cost of that is. Because boy, it was costly.
Cheap. It's actually, I think, obviously costlier because like we're here, we need so many documents back in the States and it's hard to obviously get those. So you have to pay someone to help you or use a family member, which we could use a little bit. But.
I think in a future video, because of the nature of this one, we could actually discuss like how one could do it cheaper. But there was also a bit of a time crunch because of what's potentially coming down the pipe with the immigration. Okay, so all that to say, if we don't have that video ready, then this Saturday, the video about Portuguese food adapting to dietary restrictions,
that'll be the
modern dietary restrictions, will be coming out this Saturday. But hopefully we'll have the immigration, the citizenship by naturalization video ready to go. And then last week on Expats Everywhere Explores, we put out a video interview with a guy named Colby. He lives in Belgium and he talks about his process of moving from California to Belgium. And then if our video is ready this week, which I think it is, Kalie's going to review it, the country guide for Belgium, that'll be ready. So those two videos will go out kind of in tandem
together. Yeah.
If you're interested in Belgium or just taking a look at what Belgium has to offer.
Right. Yep. So that's kind of what's going on with the different videos. I guess we just go ahead and now jump into this first episode in this series, comparing a different country with Portugal, which would be Austria. So we'll have 4 coming up, but like Josh said, it'll be split up. We won't just be 4 right in a row. We'll do interviews next week and so on. And then we'll start wedging them in, sliding them in, weaving. I think you said weave, which is a nice way to say it.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, let's get to it. We know that relocating can be stressful. Trust us, Portugal is the 5th country we've relocated to.
So it's nice to have someone helping you out, which is why we can confidently recommend Global International Relocation, which is a leading provider of relocation, moving, and mobility services.
They can support individuals, families, and even businesses when it comes to moving internationally.
I like how they're able to simplify the relocation process and they help with everything you can think of. And actually, even those things that you don't think of.
Of course, you have the immigration side of things, but there are aspects like pet relocation, shipping your car, moving household goods, and settling in that are all things they assist with. They're really comprehensive when it comes to mobility.
With over 17 years of experience and having expertise in over 180 countries, they aren't just for your move to Portugal.
So for personalized assistance, visit global.pt or get in touch with us for an introduction and to receive a personalized relocation quote. One of the most important pre-move things to consider involves your finances. Here's the cool thing. If you've moved already, it's not too late.
Yeah, that's right, because we met John a little late in our journey, but he certainly helped us make sure that we're on the right track.
John McNerney from Green Ocean Advisors is an American living in Lisbon with an office in San Francisco, which helps him have a pulse on both sides of the pond. John helps people understand where they're at before they take the plunge and move abroad.
As a financial advisor, John can help you understand your financial position no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you're curious about what your realistic retirement date is or how to invest your money post-retirement.
His love for finance and the differences between US and Europe have given him the ability to guide his clients in the right direction when it comes to investing and allocating funds. For example, you might want to sell your house before you become a tax resident here in Portugal, so you're not paying additional taxes here.
Josh and I have even talked to him on several occasions about some major life events that have happened to us and how to navigate them smartly from a financial perspective. If you'd like to be put in touch with John from Green Ocean Global, click on his Calendly link below to schedule a free consultation that he provides our viewers to see if he's the right fit for you.
Just make sure that you choose the Expats Everywhere intro call for your free consultation. Okay, let's dive into what our recent trip to Austria was like, making comparisons as we always do now when we go to any European country or anywhere really, to what life in Portugal is like. I don't want to say we do it with an eye on moving because that's not true, but we do it just out of curiosity and just we like making comparisons.
Well, and it's like, I mean, we do think, could we live here?
Yeah.
Which is why we started the whole, could you expat that?
Yeah.
And we do that for cities around Portugal, but then we also do it for other cities when we travel, just to, like,
We've
could
done
we
that
live here?
for the past 16 years
Yeah.
of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like once we moved to Spain and we were living in Madrid and we would go to another city in Spain and be like, could we live here?
Yeah. But I think that's how we ended up in Singapore. That was actually the only place that we had visited before we actually moved.
Yes.
And so when we came in, we were like, we could live here. And then that was the next place when we were living in Saudi that we actually moved to.
And I wonder if that move was brought on because we were living in Saudi Arabia at the time. And there was such a stark contrast to not just visually, but to the lifestyle one could live in the two countries.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly where we lived in Saudi, we lived in a much more, not just conservative place, but a place that
smaller,
was like
less going on.
Yeah,
not as
exactly.
like a bigger city.
Exactly.
We didn't live in Riyadh.
Because I think Riyadh would be a completely different, it might actually be similar in ways to Singapore in terms of amenities and maybe certain infrastructure positives that you have
now. But anyway, this is not about that.
No. Okay. So Austria. Now we flew into Vienna, the capital, from Porto. We had a direct flight, but we basically just like made our way from the airport to our friend's house. And then the next day we got to the rental car place and made our way to southern Austria. So we have kind of Eastern Austria to talk about, and we're going to break down the main places that we've been to on this trip, but then also we can touch on Salzburg because we've been there. So Vienna, southern Austria, which are a bunch of like little towns.
Villages.
Yes, village.
Yeah.
The biggest town in the area is Village.
Yeah.
If I'm saying that right, not village, but Village.
Has a CH in there, but.
Yeah. Don't know if we're saying it right.
How do you say that in German?
Yeah. Village. So in the middle of the country, like as you make your way down from there to southern Austria, Vienna to southern Austria, you hit Graz. It looks like Graz. We learned how to pronounce that one, probably still butchering it, but Graz. And we can talk about Graz. We stayed overnight there. We stayed 3 nights down in village life, Austria.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Austrian village life.
Oh, it was amazing.
Which we'll get to, yeah.
And then Vienna. So
and then we've been to Salzburg before as well. But okay, I want to start with, we get in, we fly in, and we were staying with our friend. Okay, the airport's outside of the city, so you have to figure out how to get in.
Naturally.
Yes, as you do in any place that you go to. Because Vienna is so big, it can get kind of expensive. So what we decided to do, because of where our friend lived, there was work going on the public transportation near her. So it would have taken over an hour from the airport to get to her on public transportation.
At night.
Yeah. Not super late.
No.
8-ish, around 8.
But at night.
But anyway, so then we decided to take an Uber. So first biggest difference is the Uber from the airport was €40.
Uber expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to what you'd pay in Portugal. In Portugal, it would be half or
even less depending.
Yeah.
So we live in Porto, and in Porto, I would say the airport's about a 20-minute drive. This was about a half hour, maybe about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
20-minute drive or so, depending on where you're going, of course. And if you get it on a deal, you can get it for as little as even under 10 euro. But I think a realistic price would be like 15 euro. So 15 euro. And then in Lisbon, a little more expensive, again, depending on where you're going and what traffic looks like for time of day and how long it takes you. But you could definitely get it for under 20. So saying like it's half.
Yes.
Right. So that's one big difference.
Yeah. And just touching on the Portugal side of things, not sure if this is the same in Austria with the regular taxis, like the metered taxis. In Portugal, highly recommend, whether you're in Porto or in Lisbon as a tourist, or if you're just moving here, Uber. Do Uber or Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
Like book it, know the price, follow the directions on where to pick it up, because it's not, let's say, as easy or clearly marked as taxis.
Mm-hmm.
Taxis are still preferred. Maybe those unions are strong. I don't know, the taxi unions. But we've heard of people being like price gouged.
Yeah.
Like they get out and then, the meter's at like 100 euros, or they're being asked to pay 100 euros, which is bonkers.
It should never cost 100 euro from the airport in Lisbon or Porto.
50 euros is crazy. Like if you're flying into Lisbon and you're staying in Lisbon, it's not going to be 50 euros.
Right.
Okay. So
that's one big difference that I wanted to highlight.
Yes. And, and it was largely because of this work that was being done, because we ended up taking, as we left like midday, when we left Austria through Vienna, we took public transportation to the airport.
And it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Because we were staying at a different location at that point.
And
more central.
And to highlight that, I think they've got a little bit of a racket in terms of the cost of the CAT.
Oh, yes, you're right. So
I can't remember what it stands for.
Something airport train.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
they
something
call it the
airport.
CAT. Yeah.
Something airport. City airport train.
There you go.
Yeah. Didn't even have to look it up. Yeah. So it was like 15 euros for that, which is
expensive.
That's expensive, because if you think about like if you have a couple of people, which is kind of the situation that we were in traveling with my sister. There were 3 of us, and if you multiply that by 15, you've got 45.
So why not just take an Uber?
Just take an Uber.
Yeah, that's why we did that.
Our daughter was free.
Mm-hmm.
So under 6 is free.
Mm-hmm.
She's still under 6.
Mm-hmm. I would say, as far as public transportation goes in Vienna as well, it seems like their setup is really good for people who live there. So, for example, you can get a year pass, 365 days, and it's 365 euros. So it's as if you're paying €1 a day, which is great, because a single ride, I think, is like over €2 just to buy like a single ticket ride on the tram or anything like that.
Yep.
So I think it became very evident to me that where I think the public transportation makes their money is by tourism. So people who are buying like 3-day passes, 7-day passes, because we did that, and it's not cheap. But something like a year pass, that is actually cheap. And also, like our friend was saying, she's been in Vienna for 6 years now, and she's probably only ever been checked on the metro or public transportation like 10 times.
Totally different than Porto.
6 years. That is totally different.
Porto, it'll be like multiple times a week.
Yeah, it's all the time. It's on the metro. It's on the buses. A little less on the buses, but definitely on the metro, to make sure that you've tapped. But so there, it's the same thing as you tap. You don't need to like tap to get and go through a turnstile or anything like that, which some cities do have.
Yeah,
it's completely open.
Nice.
So, but it didn't seem like they were checking it all. And I do know, they check in Lisbon as well, but I feel like Porto is like, it's really strong. Like
we don't have as many touch points in Lisbon in terms of using public transportation. So,
well, they use the doors. So, I think that's what prevents people from cheating. Remember, a lot of the metro in Lisbon, they have like the glass doors that open and close. So it's hard to actually just get in without having a ticket. Yeah,
but what I was going to say is like just asking the audience, if you're based in Lisbon and you travel public transportation often, how often, like in a month, let's say, do you get checked by the security officers that you've actually tapped or you've paid for your fare?
Yeah, since we don't live there, we're not doing it regularly.
But I do want to bring up this idea of like 365. 300 for 365?
365 euros for 365 days. It's a euro a day.
Oh, that leap year, yeah. Boom.
Get the freebie.
The freebie.
No, it's a good one.
But if you think about Portugal and at least Porto and Lisbon, it's pretty similar. Like if you multiply out, 12 times
40
40 for all zones.
All zones, yeah.
But I think it's 30 for, okay.
A couple zones.
In Porto, we have the all zone pass. But if you don't need the all zone pass or don't want it, I think it's 30.
Yes, it is. Just for a
so
couple
that's
zones.
360. So it's similar pricing.
Also, they have a senior discount too. I think if you're over,
You're right.
I can't remember if it's 60 or 65, you get all zones for 30 as well, which is
great.
Very affordable.
It's great.
Per month, obviously.
Yeah. Because the network is large. It'll allow you to get outside of the city of Porto to other like neighboring towns, which are in Greater Porto.
Yeah. But I do want to say this. I do want to highlight
and
the
let's
difference.
move on from transportation.
Yeah, transportation. But the difference between Porto and Lisbon is with Porto, it's just open and you tap. I think that's why they have a lot of people who are checking. A lot of the places in Lisbon, there's either one worker who's in there, but if there's not, they still have those glass turnstiles. So like you can't even hop it or go under or whatever.
But not all have the glass turnstiles.
No, not all.
So let's just say that.
But I'm just saying a lot do. So you might find that they're checked
rolling
less.
Turnstiles.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. That's kind of transportation, at least in the major city.
Yeah, in Vienna.
Covered. Vienna versus Lisbon, Porto.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But then we left there. We rented a car. So we got a taste of driving. The second time, actually, we've driven in or across Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Because years ago, we made a trip from Italy to Salzburg.
But then I think
we cut into Germany, maybe?
Yeah, I think we cut into Munich.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this time we went up to Vienna with the car. But
the drive was super pretty. The roads were nice.
Yeah.
Like they were well maintained. I don't think you have problems as well in Portugal. We've not experienced problems with road maintenance on the toll roads.
Right. Like you mean it being bad? Like,
yeah. Like smooth roads.
Yeah. There were, I mean, in Austria, they were still doing a lot of maintenance, but it didn't seem to cause much traffic.
No.
Driving, honestly, so even getting
and it was
into
a holiday
Slovenia
weekend as well.
Was fine. It was just when we got into Croatia that you noticed a big difference with the roads.
Yeah, it got a bit bumpy.
But we'll get to that when we talk about
in a future
episode. Those different countries. But no, the driving was fine. For those of you who don't know, I'm the driver. Josh is the navigator.
Yes.
So yeah, the driving was quite easy. That's all.
The navigating was quite easy
too.
Quite easy.
Yeah. So we did the 7-day vignette. I think 7 days, I think that we did. So that just pays for the tolls. It makes it much easier instead of having to stop or worry about it. Some of them actually, if you don't have some sort of vignette, then you can be fined. That's what the lady at the border said with like Austria into Slovenia. We
might need to explain a vignette.
It would be like an e-pass, like
like a no, it's not a transponder even, but it's replacing a transponder.
But I think the U.S. is doing this a lot too. It's tagged to your license plate.
Yep, it reads that license plate like as fast as a QR code.
Yeah, so then you just like driving through, like you're not slowing down, or I mean, some of them might still have like the arms that go up and down, but some it's just drive through.
Yeah.
So it just you got your license plate number, and that's what you've paid for.
Okay, so as we were getting down there, we decided to stop for lunch. We did it in a fairly small town. The restaurant was a traditional restaurant.
It was so good.
That was amazing.
That was such amazing food.
I mean, I would say
the Wiener Schnitzel.
Wiener Schnitzel. I would say that was our first touch point for Austrian food in years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so good. There's something like, at least for maybe for some Americans, that it would be like their normal food.
Yes, it would.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, because it's like you have a meat.
Germanic roots.
Well, but it's like you have a meat and then you have a couple sides. I think that's a lot of Americans. That's what you do, and so it's like you have your Wiener Schnitzels or your pork or your chicken, and then you might have a side of like potato salad and
potato salad.
So I don't know, something else. That's the other thing too, is we really don't get potato salad ever in Portugal. I mean, I think you can, but like it's just not something that's normal to have like at a restaurant or
sauerkraut.
Yeah, right. So
there was an abundance of that as well, along with cranberry sauce.
Yes, which I love. I think a lot of Americans only have it around Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday, and I love cranberry sauce. And they put it with like loads of dishes. So it's like I could have cranberry sauce all the time while we were in Austria, which was good.
And the beer.
And the beer, yes.
The beer was so good too.
It got to the end though where I was like, I can't do any more beer. But the beer is good.
Yeah. So we have this meal and we sit down and there's a fairly large table, maybe 10 people men and women that are dressed in like traditional Austrian clothing. Again, because like we were traveling on a,
Holiday
I don't know if
weekend.
it was like all the towns were having like
no, it
some
was.
holiday
Because think
festivals,
about
but
it was a holiday weekend because when we were
I know it was a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
I just don't know like if it was nationwide or if it was just in the state that we were in.
Yeah, it was
Do you know what I
doing their
mean?
traditional. So, but let's talk about that. The dirndl. Am I saying that right?
Dirndl?
Dirndl.
I guess
That's
so.
the what the dress.
Lederhosen is the male traditional clothing.
And then
I
I
about
think
said costume, and that's just not right.
Yeah, their outfit. So the women were dressed like in those dresses, and the men had the shorts and what kind of I guess could look like a little like suspenders. Not a little different though, right?
I'm not gonna lie, it's hot.
Like temperature hot.
No, like it's cute.
Oh, cute.
It's cute.
They're fun. They are expensive though because tried. So
yeah, I'm talking about the dirndls, not the lederhosen. I mean, maybe ladies, you would love to see your man in a pair of leather shorts.
Yeah, leather shorts. I think that's why I thought you were talking about temperature hot. But our friends who were having the festival,
I bet those are temperature hot though.
Yeah, in the southern part, they're like, you know, if you can find something, then you could wear that because
I really wanted
on Saturday. Oh, we went hunting. And
I don't have money like that to drop minimum $250
on that. Because it's like, when will we ever wear this? But we thought if it's a reasonable price, we could at least wear it like a Halloween costume or something at some point. But
that's
it was
why
like,
I thought costume.
It was hundreds of euros, so we did not get them. But they are very nice, all different kinds too, which is really cool. So
well, and one thing that we learned, not just word of mouth, but also in like doing research, is most of the time, at least for the lederhosen, it's passed down from like generation to generation. And like, you know, guys, whenever they get to a certain age, like they'll get their lederhosen, and then, I mean, unless they're like changing size, weight significantly, like they're wearing it for
because you're not wearing it all the time in the sense so you can wear it like for the different festivals and stuff. So it's not like you need a variety necessarily. Maybe your girl would have a couple dresses, but I don't know if you need to because you don't wear it as often.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the southern part, in the villages now, the village area.
Yeah, I mean, are we finished with food? Like we can come back to food actually because it kind of plays a role as we go along. Mm-hmm. But in the South, where the population density is much more sparse, it's more rural. It reminds me of kind of the middle of the U.S.
Yeah, any part about Portugal though that it reminds you?
The interior of Portugal. The interior of Portugal.
And I think
not just Alentejo, but like
central.
The interior part of Portugal, all
just
over.
Because
really.
You're right, it's just more greenery, I guess, like single roads,
more livestock than people.
Yeah. But the people also were like very, very nice. Yeah. And so I think that's kind of a bit of like the interior of Portugal as well.
Yeah, a lot of English proficiency. I don't want to say fluency, although that's could be true as well, but at least proficiency. Like you didn't have to communicate in German. We didn't have to communicate in German with anybody to get by, to get anything done.
Actually, so one day Josh and his sister were hiking with the group, and I was
not that we could communicate in German.
I know. And Sia and I went to the grocery store because that's another thing we need to talk about: grocery stores,
timetables.
Yes. And
big problem.
The cashier there spoke really good English, and this was in like a small village, so you know, because I think he asked if I needed a bag, and I was like, sorry, do you speak English? And he did.
I'm curious because we haven't talked about this. Was it accented?
A little bit, but like still, it sounded fluent. You know, he wasn't making like grammatical errors or anything, but it was accented.
Yeah, because I noticed like a few of the people that we knew, they were very fluent, but it was accented.
Yeah,
like very fluent. But accents.
I think that is common as well. Whereas I think maybe the Portuguese who are very fluent aren't as American. Accented. Yeah, you wouldn't believe some Portuguese friends that we've met through other friends. It's like whoa, like you sound American. But some of them it's because they've lived in.
But it's like you've never been to international school. Like we've met people from all walks of life that grew up in an international school, and they'll sound American. Like
if it's an American international school,
or British.
British,
But.
So it wasn't accented.
It was accented.
Oh, his. I was talking about the Portuguese friends we know. So the difference is, I think that, but maybe it is because of the harsh sounding language that German is.
I think people would say that European Portuguese sounds harsh.
It does. That is true.
Actually, I don't think it does. It's just
all sounds. But okay, but what I do want to highlight, because now this has reminded me, is the grocery stores. Oh my goodness, they close at like 7:30, and
This is a theme, guys.
and also a lot of the pharmacies are closed at like noon on Saturdays and then completely closed on Sundays.
Don't get sick over the weekend. Don't drink too much on a Friday.
You
and
better
not be able to
have
wake up
stocked up at home.
Yeah.
But then also with food, like we even got in a conversation with a friend who's Austrian who was like, it doesn't really make sense because like on your day off is when you like do your grocery shopping and stuff, and like none of the grocery stores are actually open. So that is a crazy one.
The hack is that you probably wouldn't do a full shop, but to get yourself through the weekend at the major train stations in the different cities, they generally have a grocery store and it'll be open.
And it stays open later and it will be open on weekends, but probably a little more expensive. So that's just if you need something like, oh, I forgot this and I definitely need it. But other than that, you got to do your shopping after work during the weekday.
But Austria seems like a place where if you need a cup of sugar,
go to your neighbor.
Yeah, you can go to your neighbor.
Yeah, that is true. But that's a big difference. I mean, Portugal, a lot of stuff's open. It might close a little earlier on Sundays, a grocery store.
Yeah.
But it'll be open. So that's nice. But also too, you can go to your neighbor.
You can.
if you need your sugar.
If you're lacking a few 50 or 500 milliliter bottles of beer.
Wait, is that in Portugal or is that in Austria?
Austria.
Okay.
No, I imagine, I'd love the Austrians watching this to tell me, but do you keep crates of beer like at the ready?
Just in case?
Just in case.
Not the ones that you're turning in for the bottle service. Like the bottle, not service. What would you, bottle service kind of
like
sounds like you're at a
club. Yeah, you're right.
But the bottle recycling, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if I think Portuguese people have, I've noticed Portuguese people have wine at the ready.
Always.
But not beer. And the beer bottles are different sizes as well.
Oh, they're big. They're big there.
Yeah.
Whereas the Portuguese prefer the minis.
Yeah, I didn't see many. It does make sense. I didn't see many like 33 centiliter bottles, which to Americans would be like our 12-ounce bottles. Most of what they had were half-liter bottles.
Mm-hmm. But that's actually quite a difference as well between Portugal and Austria. Is the Portuguese would like? No, I'm going to say like they like the minis. Mm-hmm. Like, so the little ones. And the reasoning for that is they stay cold. You drink, so you don't have to have a warmer beer. Mm-hmm. But then in Austria, it's like the big ones. So not even
They're
in
like,
between.
You're not drinking fast enough.
Yeah. That might be what it is.
If your beer is warm, you're not drinking fast enough.
Oh, man, that might be what it is. But okay.
That's the way it feels.
That's the southern part. And then Graz, which.
I mean, like talking more about the southern part, because I think there are some things that can be said. Like pace of life is slower, but the infrastructure did not drop off.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's a problem here in Portugal.
That's a good point.
Like you've got towns in the interior of Portugal that have solid infrastructure, but the villages, nah.
Stuff might be crumbling a little bit, right? It used to be solid, very solid, but the upkeep has been very poor.
Yeah, or people have just left, and therefore it's like abandoned villages kind of. But we did not experience that whatsoever in Austria. Like the infrastructure was
still
good.
Really good. Yeah. Which actually reminds me, so when we were in the southern part, there is that massive, there's skiing that happens there, and there's that massive cable car that you can go up, and it's a beautiful view. It's really a really, really cool place. When we were coming down the cable car, we were in there with some Austrians, and they were from Salzburg. Yep. So we talked a little bit about Salzburg and the size of that. And so that reminded me, like that infrastructure, this massive cable car is something that you just don't see that type of infrastructure in a small area in Portugal.
Yeah. I mean, this was like serious engineering. It was sturdy. It was robust. Prices weren't as bad as I thought that they would be for like an amenity or an attraction like that. It was not as bad as I thought it would be.
That little toboggan thing, that was $11.50.
Yeah.
Not terrible. That was a lot of fun, actually. A thing to do in the summer.
Yeah, there's this like rail toboggan that you could take. I mean, I think in Portugal it'd be less expensive.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's an equivalent. There's not I don't think that there's an equivalent to that.
Yeah.
You could say like in Madeira, the
guys
the physical like wooden wicker toboggans.
How much are those now though? I wonder.
But I think that's like a real touristy thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like I think a lot of Austrians do it.
Yeah.
Food in these areas didn't seem to be like tourist prices. It seemed to be quite fair or normal, what you would find in one of the towns and one of the villages at these more touristy areas.
Right.
And then you've got I shouldn't say rivers, the lakes that you can visit. I think the difference that we found with all of the lakes that we tried to go to is you had to pay.
Yeah, that's true. You have to pay to get in.
Right. Like there were amenities that you essentially purchase, but like if you're just trying to,
I mean,
yeah, but
that's mainly it.
If you're trying to purchase access,
yeah,
you don't have to do that in Portugal. Like we were just camping in near Castelo Branco and just rock up to the lake.
Beautiful lake.
You just pull up to the lake
and go.
and you get out
Yeah, that's
and
true.
you put your towel out.
And you know a big difference too? In Austria, the lake water was cold. Yeah. I think a lot of places here in Portugal, the lake water and the fluvials, like those are warm water.
Fluvial would be
nice.
the river beaches.
Right. Okay. The Atlantic, that's different. That is cold. But like when we're talking about the non-sea water, lakes, rivers, it's much warmer in Portugal. It was cold in Austria.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you can't complain though about the Atlantic when you're making a comparison with Austria, because it's like, name the body of water that's the coast of Austria. I'm waiting.
No, that's why I'm not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, I mean, so if anybody wants to be angry in the comment section about that, it's like, well, there's no coast in Austria, so there are
still water.
There are way better mountains.
Oh,
way better.
They're
mountains.
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Huge. Yeah. A lot more as well.
I felt something in those mountains.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when we were in Salzburg,
much more than the Salzburg.
I was going to say
mountains.
the Salzburg. The hills are alive. I'm a big Sound of Music fan, so if you are a big Sound of Music fan, you have to go to Salzburg because that's where they did a lot of the filming, and you can see all the places, which is so much fun. I dragged Josh to all that stuff.
Yeah,
and I did stand in the fields and twirl and sing. That did not happen on this trip though.
So I saw the Sound of Music probably when I was 10, and I don't remember it.
Yeah, no. The hills are alive.
Vaguely remember it.
For me still. I watched it a lot when I was a kid. I loved it.
You took me to that gondola? No, that
gazebo.
Gazebo.
I made. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So that was the southern part, and then we left Austria.
Yeah.
Went to Slovenia, Croatia, and then swung back up.
Which we're not talking about now.
Let's
talk about Graz.
Yeah, we'll talk about those other two places on a future podcast. But we swung back up to Graz.
Graz's comparison should be fair to say Porto,
because it's the second largest city.
Second largest city. It's got this historic downtown. It's got its outskirts. I think population is more comparable. I'm actually going to pull up population and refresh my mind what the population differences are.
Because we looked at that.
Yeah, we did look at that, and we were a bit surprised. Because at first when we were there, we thought like, whoa, this is smaller than Porto. Remember? Like how we were talking about that.
It felt like it was smaller.
And then I pulled up the stats and I was like, no, it's not. This is weird. It doesn't make sense. And then we ended up walking around out of the old city, and we found, it's much bigger. So Graz is about 50,000 more in terms of
center
population.
Area, I guess.
Yeah.
Because of course then when you go out into like the suburban area,
so the large urban zone is 660,000. So that's the large urban zone, whereas the city is 306. Okay.
That's for Graz, yeah.
And then for Porto, it's a quarter, like for the population of the city of Porto, it's 250,000. But like the metropolitan area is actually highly populated. 1.7 million.
Yeah.
From the census that I've got pulled up was 2021.
Yeah.
So it's changed. It's gotten a little more.
But even still, that's a big difference. So like in Graz, the center area is bigger than in Porto's center area. But then when you spread out more, the Porto is then bigger. Greater Porto, I guess you could say, is bigger.
But you're not going to feel that. Like you're not going to feel that difference per se. I don't feel like I live in a place that is 1.7 million.
No.
Right.
No.
It's So
you're right. You're not going to feel that.
So Graz, visually, like the old city or whatever you want to call it is really pretty.
Yeah. I think it's kind of known to be a bit more of the medieval look.
Yeah. It feels a bit glam. like we've talked about this in past episodes when we were comparing with Bilbao, like the whole second city thing between like second city of Portugal's Porto, second city of Spain is one of them is Bilbao. And Bilbao felt grand. Graz in a way felt grand.
Okay.
Whereas the only
You're about to say grand.
Grand.
Graz is grand.
Yeah.
Had to call you out on that one.
Thank you. The only spot for me that feels grand in Porto really is Aliados. So
Yeah. I get that.
Praça Liberdade, right?
That area. Well, this is, I think, a big difference too between Lisbon and Porto.
Yeah.
Is that there are several places that feel grand in Lisbon and it's not like that in Porto. So for Porto to be a second city, it's still so small. And we'll get to Lisbon being the capital and Vienna being the capital because we swung back up to Vienna. So we'll talk a little more about that. But that is a big difference, I would say. The first cities, second cities, the grandness, it's still very small in Portugal.
It is.
That's a big difference.
But I mean, like you're not going to change that. That history is not going to change.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Porto's never going to get bigger and grander because it is what it is.
Right.
Right. Because it's been this way.
Well, the
for
only
like
way you'd make it
hundreds of
grander
years.
is if you started doing like glass skyscrapers and stuff. And that would but that's a different kind of grand.
It is. That's true. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. But
There's
that's
probably,
what I'm saying. Like
there's probably like some serious civil code about that.
Yeah, because there's not
like,
skyscrapers.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of like what the history is like and like what has been built and that has been there for hundreds of years, like you don't just change that infrastructure and that grandness, that opulence.
Mm-hmm.
In saying that, I wouldn't trade Porto.
No,
like I wouldn't trade, like from an aesthetic point of view, I certainly wouldn't trade it.
Yeah.
I prefer, there's something charming and like beautiful, but in a way like humble about Porto. And maybe Graz is like a little, it's kind of fairy tale in a way. So that's similar with Porto. It's fairy tale, but I don't know, like it's just different.
Yeah. It is different. I mean, they're obviously different countries.
It feels
cultures.
more luxurious there in some aspects as well.
Okay. Whereas Porto is a little like grittier. If you like to say that, I was going to say
cleaner. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's swing back up to Vienna because then we spent the last few days in Vienna, which Vienna's huge. It's just so big. And I mean, even for us, like living in Porto, we do say that like Lisbon's a lot more sprawling and it's bigger. Of course, it's a capital city. It's the biggest city. But it doesn't hold a candle to how big Vienna is. So both, being so big, but like Vienna is just so much bigger.
We'll pull up some stats on size because I think this is kind of important to like wrap our heads around as we want to make these comparisons. So Vienna has an official population of a little over 2 million, whereas Lisbon's official population is over 500,000.
Yeah.
And that's within the municipality.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's say from this census, just under 600K.
Right.
Now, obviously, like the entire metropolitan area, different.
Yeah, obviously, as you get a little further out, then it gets bigger. But you could just feel a big difference. Like even walking around Lisbon, and you might be like, "There's a lot of people here," but like there's a lot of people in Vienna. So that is a big difference that you could feel.
Demographically, I want to touch on this because this is something that we commented on when we were there. There is a lot more diversity.
Yes.
In Vienna compared to Lisbon. Like people want to look at Lisbon and talk about like the immigration stuff going on there. I mean, I have to think that this type of thing has been going on in Vienna for
a long time,
decades.
Yeah, actually, because I mean, a long time ago, with Expats Everywhere, I remember we did a video with a girl who is Austrian, and we were there back in 2018 or so, and she was talking about immigration issues.
Yeah, and the shift that was occurring. Yeah, so foreign nationals that live in Vienna is a little over a third of the population.
Okay.
That's high.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the highest in Europe, I believe.
We did talk about this while we were there looking around in Vienna. We looked around and we were like, could we pinpoint who's Austrian? Like who looks Austrian, who would be Austrian? And I was like, I can't. I don't know.
You can pinpoint who's Austrian in the villages.
Yeah. Yeah, well, everyone there. But then they have more of a look, right?
Yeah.
But then
they look more German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might get mad at you saying that. They like to be separated, don't they?
No, but I mean, like, when I say that, I mean, like, I don't mean German as in, like, the country, but I mean, like, Germanic.
Like those characteristics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that was very different. I also found there was a little more shenanigans, in Vienna.
I feel like that's all big cities.
Big cities, I guess. But if you're going to compare it to Lisbon, I think
okay. So what do you mean? Unpack that for me. And the viewer.
Yeah, I would say just a bit more drunken homelessness. Yeah, a little more in Vienna, but more maybe in pockets. They hung out together a little bit. That was the thing. I mean, in Porto, they don't really hang out together. There's not many, but they don't.
Every now and then you'll see them you'll see people together outside of grocery stores.
Yeah, but that's true. But this was
sipping on their boxed wine.
A lot of groups.
Whereas they're sipping on beer in Austria.
Oh, okay. So if you gather anything, the biggest difference is Austria, beer, Portugal, wine.
I mean, kind of. Yeah. Just there's a lot. There's a big kind of like foreign population, and that permeates everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have much more diversity when it comes to restaurants.
Yes.
You hear a ton of languages on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you get that in Lisbon. You definitely don't get that in Porto.
Not as much. It's
not as
happening
much.
A little more though.
You could tell the people that were walking around, and I don't know if you can do that. I'm trying to think if you can do this in Porto.
Like lived there and weren't tourists. Is that what you're going with?
Tourists.
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, but that being said, Vienna,
I don't know if we explained that because we just like looked at each other and knew what we were talking about. We didn't explain that to the listener. So can you explain what we mean?
I mean, obviously the center part of Porto has a lot of tourists, and Lisbon as well. You can kind of tell that they're tourists as opposed to some of these big places that we went to in Vienna, which I think tourists probably go to. It seemed like those who live there also residents. Go to. Yeah, residents as well.
Yeah.
Whether that's for shopping or for food.
But they were foreign nationals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But I was going to say, that being said, Vienna is actually known to be quite a safe place. And in speaking with our friends who live there, they feel safe. So that's a good,
highest city in Europe for, I think it's the Human Development Index, right? HDI. Like it's ranked number 1. Man, I'm going to look it up.
And what do they go the ranking off of on that? Because the weather's not great. It gets cold there, doesn't it?
I think that there's just like this criteria that I know that there's this broad criteria that makes the HDI index.
Yeah.
And it's like health scores and education, infrastructure, the economy, so job markets, political stability, transportation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Vienna does a great job of all that stuff.
It's like all of those things. And it's always ranking like really high in Europe.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. No, I definitely get that. It does a good job at all of those.
Mercer.
But yeah, it's a safe place. But I would say this. And, when you go to a new place, you don't necessarily know the areas where you shouldn't be or, that. But walking around, I think Lisbon and Porto, for me, the feel is safer as opposed to walking around Vienna. So sometimes,
could be because we know Portugal.
That's what I mean. I get that that's a thing.
We know what trouble looks like, and we don't in Austria, in Vienna.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, it does rank statistically as that, but sometimes when you travel or you're not there for a very long time, you still get a feeling where you're like, I don't know if I'd, walk around by myself at night, whereas I would in Porto because I know that that's okay. So sometimes it's just about a feeling as well. So while we can look at stats and everything, like just kind of keeping your spidey senses going is important as well.
Yeah. So 2023, Vienna topped the list. It looks like in 2024, it was Zurich, but Vienna's still like
high up of course.
There.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to see that drop or anything, but
the cost of living difference between Zurich and Vienna
that's big.
is pretty big.
It's
Although
expensive.
Vienna's not cheap.
It's not. You're right. But
I
neither
think-
is Zurich.
And neither is Lisbon,
Yeah.
right?
Parts are still, I think, I think you can still get some pretty inexpensive options for food, and certain things are still on the cheaper end. Maybe like phone and internet, stuff like that. I think is still maybe a little more affordable compared to other places.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of like kind of regular daily costs that a resident or a tourist will rub with,
Mhm.
which would be like how much do cafes cost? What a bar costs like?
Yeah.
What are restaurants like? What are grocery stores like? Versus some other cost of living items, which are important.
Yeah.
But I have to say that Austria is certainly more expensive still than Lisbon.
Yeah. Vienna. You said Austria.
Yeah, but
first Lisbon are all together.
But I'd say yeah, definitely all together. Okay, so if we're just comparing the capitals, yeah, it's still more expensive.
One thing that is really cool about Vienna is they have like an amusement park.
Yeah,
and not like how you would think where you have to pay to enter, but like you can just walk in and choose to like single pay the rides, but it's not a fare that moves. And Porto has these like little like seasonal fares that move around. These are like fixed. But so like there's roller coasters in there, which is a lot of fun. Like that's really cool. And that's just like in the city.
Yeah. And I thought they were affordable.
Yeah.
Like obviously you can choose how many rides, you can set a budget and do what you want to do. But prices for the food inside of there wasn't crazy. And then the rides themselves, they weren't bad either.
Right. So that was a really cool thing.
Yeah. Like that kind of infrastructure is not the same as what we currently have in Lisbon, at least.
Anywhere in Portugal though. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just
But
making
Lisbon,
a comparison between the
because-
two capitals, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, are we going to say whether we would live there?
I mean,
Is that
I think
happening?
we shouldn't just glaze over Salzburg.
Okay.
I think we do need to make another trip to Salzburg, especially while things are fresh. Porto actually plays Salzburg coming up, but is that a home match or is it away?
I'm not sure, but I mean, from Salzburg, it has a lot more green, a little calmer. I think that it's cute, a little more like charming.
What would
look.
it compare to?
What city would it compare to? Maybe
Yeah.
Braga. I think Braga would be a good comparison. Size wise, I'm not quite sure, but like feel of like the like little charming areas, like downtown areas.
Yeah.
And then the green. I'd say Braga.
Yeah, I think that Braga is a good shout. I think any of the third cities, it's close. Like it, you know what I mean? Like it would be similar. The tertiary cities of Portugal it would be similar. But
I think I'm going with Braga.
but
I think
it- but
that's
it's-
the best.
yeah, I mean size wise, I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
Right.
It felt
We've-
like that at least.
We've got 150-ish thousand
in Salzburg.
in Salzburg. Braga's pretty similar.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so.
That's a
Yeah,
good. That's
I
a
think
good.
I think that's a good comparison.
That's a good
Those two are
shout.
similar.
That's a good shout. I think people are nicer in Braga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
What
makes sense.
What did you think about the people overall in Austria? Did you get-
colder, not as friendly with kids for sure.
Huge difference.
Yeah, not as family oriented.
It seems
not
like the
as
quality
smiley.
of life for kids is great,
Yeah.
but in terms of the social interactions that one has
With kids.
with kids, with those that don't have kids or don't have kids present, is different.
Yeah.
It's not as warm and opening as Portugal.
No, I think that the Portuguese people are a lot more warm and opening compared to the Austrians
I like
in
how
general.
I like how in both countries you have like in terms of family things, you have the like kids costs are reduced or free.
Yes,
It's not always like that everywhere else.
that's true.
So I like that. So kids are taken care of in that way.
Mhm.
But overall, yeah,
And
the
families,
social-
that really takes care of parents.
Families,
Yeah, families to be
Yeah,
able to do
lessens
stuff and
that
not
burden.
feel like, it's a big burden.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you want to get to that time
Yep.
to ask the question, would you expat that? So would you want to live in Austria for a certain period of
Medium
time, like medium term?
I think I could, but I don't know if I want to. That's what I'm going
Ooh.
with. I think there are other places I'd rather live, especially if I'm going to go a place that could get cold.
Mm.
Then I think stay tuned for where those places would be.
Yeah.
But I think I would say I could, but it would not be in my top like 3 places if I'm moving somewhere else in Europe. And you?
I think I don't want I'm not sitting on the fence. Let me preface
Okay.
things and say I I think living in Austria would be, I don't want to say a piece of cake, but I'm going to say a piece of cake.
Easy. I agree.
It'd be pretty easy for a variety of reasons that we've already mentioned. I did not feel any sort of anything in my heart or gut about any of the places we visited. Like I wasn't like, dang, it would be nice to live here. Like this is a cool place.
Right.
The places are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're fine, which is why it'd be easy to live there. But yeah, like our relationships with Austrians on this trip, at least, was very much influenced by the fact that we had a friend who was married to an Austrian and we got introduced, and therefore like we kind of entered the friend circle.
Yeah.
But then the Austrians that we met that were out of that friend circle, there was distance. It was colder. That would be challenging to like have to navigate through that society and break that ice. And how quick could you do it? And like all of that. Mm-hmm. So in that regard, and I think you already know my answer is no. But I agree with you. Like I could, but but I'm not angling for a move to Austria.
All right. So that wraps up Austria. Coming up on the podcast, we're going to break down a little bit about Slovenia and Croatia and Slovakia.
Uh-oh. I got ties.
We'll get there. So there we go. We're not moving to Austria.